covering the 2012 GOP convention here with actor Jon Voight. Mr. Voight, it's nice to meet you. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Len.
Let me ask you a question, sir. When you look at Hollywood, we know, of course, it's mostly liberal, but when you see lately, you see...
You noticed that?
Yeah, I've heard. I've heard the stories. When you look at Twitter...
There's an awful lot of conservatives in Hollywood.
Absolutely, sir. But when you look at Twitter and you see tweets from Ellen Barkin and Samuel L. Jackson hoping that Hurricane Isaac would have come in here and swept away the GOP conventioneers and the people here, at what point does disagreeing become disagreeable?
I'm absolutely stunned by such a, I mean, how unfortunate, you know. But listen, let them all. I just hope that they, you know, I was in the same situation, and I was on the left in the beginning of the 70s, so I know what those people are thinking, going through, and what they're listening to, and all of that. But anyway, I always hope that people can come around and learn a few things. And in that way, I would like to recommend 2016 to people, because this man has not been vetted, this president of ours, and you should know at least the basics about him. And this movie does it very beautifully. It's a really well-done movie by a very good team of people led by Gerald Mullen, who's a sizable figure in Hollywood, too. So anyway, go see 2016. And bring your friends on the left, too. And everybody should know at least basically what's going on before they make a vote. Whether they vote for, you know, whoever they vote for, they should be at least educated.
Sir, what made you change from the left to the right?
Well, I saw what happened after the Vietnam War, when over 2.5 million people were killed in Cambodia, Laos, and Cambodia, because we didn't step in and honor our peace accords. And the left just turned their backs on it and just walked away. And that began a process of me rethinking everything. And I finally wound up realizing that that what I'd gotten into and all the hysteria of the 60s was, it was unfortunate to be part of that. I really was quite ashamed of it, actually. So, and I'm atoning. I mean, because there's blood on your hands. The people in the streets in the 60s created that problem. We were almost at war's end. We almost had the Vietnamese, the North Vietnamese, in a surrender situation. We never lost one battle. Our boys didn't let us down, and it was the people in the streets that were responsible for it. And I was one of them. So I look at it, I say, there's blood on my hands. There's blood on the hands of Hollywood. And it's tough to wake up to that, but I finally did, and I've, you know, made every effort to make amends for that past.
Sir, the people on the streets in 2012 are the occupiers, the Occupy movement, especially right this week. They're threatening and causing violent acts. Actor Donald Sutherland, another Hollywood legend, said that from the ranks of the Occupy movement will rise a leader. Our next leader will come from the Occupy movement. I imagine you disagree with Mr. Sutherland.
Well, Mr. Sutherland just did a movie, Hunger Games, and it would seem that that statement would come out of the mouth of his character in Hunger Games. A leader will arise. Well, I mean, I think you should take another look at the Occupy Wall Street movement. These guys are, I mean, they're flounderers in our society. They have no understanding of what to do with life itself. They're not people who are responsible. They don't pay bills. They don't, you know, they don't make budgets. They don't have families. They're, they're willing to follow almost any drummer, and they cause chaos and destruction. They're not an admirable group of people, and I think Donald should take a closer look.
When you look at the Romney-Ryan ticket, what do you see as what that will change in this country, that will fix this country, from what happened in the Obama administration?
Look, we're in a dire situation right now, economically. Let's say just take that, right? We're going over the falls. I mean, and this guy's pushing us into the socialism of Europe. He wants to downgrade America so that we're all, in this world government of socialist countries, right?
Dependency.
Yeah. Dependency? Well, no, just he's lowering the bar for America He's taking our arms away. He's attacking the military, taking the budget out of that. He's economically putting us in very, very bad trouble. He's doing the same thing that has brought about the crisis in Greece. You know, he's spending money. He's making his way by buying the votes of people, by creating an entitlement state. Everybody's got to be dependent on the government. So it's created a big mess. In 3.5 years, we've been weakened severely. And we're going to go over the cliff if we don't turn around and do something about it. Paul Ryan was of a mind to protect Medicare and go in and do the very strong things that need to be done to make a future for our kids, right? Ryan did it. Romney does that kind of thing. He solves problems. These other guys are not. They're creating more problems. You know, we find out recently that you know, Medicare is the one that's really being victimized by Obamacare. So anyway, it's a huge mess, and it's broken, and somebody's got to come in quickly and make those decisions that will fix it. And I prophesy that the day Romney gets elected, pray God he does, there will be a total change in atmosphere in the country. It'll be a bright, different new day. People will have energy they haven't had before. And he will go through it with his experience, and he will tear down all the impediments to business immediately and get small business operating again and getting entrepreneurship going again. And we will be right back with the engine of our economy, and the stature of America will return quite quickly. So we've got a job to do to get him in office.
When you talk about entrepreneurship, we also talk about a president who says you didn't build that. Is there any more single galvanizing sentence than you didn't build that to small business owners and entrepreneurs?
You're talking to a guy who wasn't responsible for anything he did. You look like a guy. He's a guy who won the Nobel Prize for nothing. I mean, I didn't do that. Right. I did nothing. Right. They just gave it to me. I got into Occidental. How? I said this. They gave me away. Somebody paid for this. Right. Here's a fellow who hasn't done very much in the way of hard work to deserve the things that have come to him. So maybe he feels that's the way it is.
You talked also about the president taking our arms, especially to this audience. Our listeners, our viewers, very interested in the Second Amendment. Your thoughts on that and threats to the Second Amendment?
Well, you know, a strong America, the Second Amendment was put there by very, very smart people. You know, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but this idea of depleting the military, the attacks on things, and then he'll attack the American institutions little by little. And one of those things is people bearing arms. He'll use any excuse to make more restrictions on, you know, people being able to have weapons. Now, if the situation in that movie theater, if there'd been a couple of guys that had weapons, if down in when Hassan's shot those guys in Fort Hood, if those military guys had their weapons with them, lives would have been saved. So there's a lot to be said about this, but look, we have to clean house in every way.
I know. Thank you for your time, sir. Last question: has your activism on the right cost you in Hollywood? Has it cost you movie roles and/or some of your Hollywood friends?
Well, look, if I lose a job, it's not a big deal. But if a guy with 5 kids in the middle of our country loses a job, and those 5 kids suffer, that's a big deal. And that's why I'm out. You know. I'm not so concerned about myself. I've had a nice career. I've done very well. But I'm fighting for those guys.